We're kicking off 2024 with this, the Oppo Reno 11 5G. So Oppo have launched the Reno 11 series along with the Oppo Reno 11 Pro, but also this, the Oppo Reno 11 5G. And that's the device that I have been testing out for the last couple of days. I'm going to talk to you about my experiences with this device in this video, talking to you about the hardware, the software, and ultimately help you hopefully answer whether or not this mid-range smartphone is the right choice for you. Right, kicking off this review with a quick look at the design. As you can see for the Reno 11 5G, the design is very, very current. You've got a nice body and display curved on both the back and on the front glass display as well, which looks and feels very, very premium in the hand. You've got this new design for the camera module on the back, more on the camera in just a moment, but I think it looks really, really nice. And then this particular model comes in a few colors. The one that I have in my hand is this rocky gray, which I think looks really premium and shimmers in the lights. Certainly a very nice, attractive color. Now in the hand, it feels premium. And on the front there, you have that 6.7-inch OLED display with support for 1 billion colors. And also you have support for HDR and 950 nits peak brightness. Now it would have been nice to see slightly higher brightness because here in the Middle East, the sun does get very, very bright, but overall, it's a very, very beautiful display. It also supports 120 Hertz refresh. And one of the things I like about this is within the settings, you can actually customize which apps use the higher refresh rate, which is a nice touch from Oppo. Now, the big focus on the Oppo Reno 11 5G is on the back when it comes to that camera. You've got this new camera matrix with sunshine rings that houses essentially 3 cameras or triple camera in this futuristic but also compact camera module. So Oppo are referring to this as the ultra clear portrait camera system. So you have a 50 megapixel for the main paired up with a 32 megapixel for the telephoto and an 8 megapixel for the ultra wide. Now what I found in my testing is that overall it performs very, very well as a unified camera module. Obviously the main camera features OIS and you get better images with the standard 1X than you would do with the others. But throughout, one of the things that I noticed is Oppo have done a good job at keeping things standardized. Normally what happens with a lot of mid-range smartphones is as you switch between the different cameras, you get a slight change or variation when it comes to color accuracy, when it comes to sort of the color profile, the vibrancy, whereas on this, it is actually noticeably standard throughout, everything from ultra-wide all the way through to telephoto, which is very, very nice. So the Reno series has always been known for portrait shots, and with the Reno 11 5G series, you certainly get that. There's elements of AI that help improve the portrait shots that you take. There's also things like filters and retouching as well. But as you can see from some of these examples, the portraits with the telephoto come out quite nicely. There's a lot more controls that you have over this. And on the front 32 megapixel selfie shooter, you also get very nice selfie shots. And I like the fact that it's slightly wider here, so it gets you more coverage. Right, here's an example of what video looks like. 4K, 30 frames per second. And this is the standard video. As I walk around, move around, it should give you an idea of how it does with stabilization and also with the audio as well. Now, one thing to mention, in this standard form, there is no steady mode. So if you want steady mode or ultra steady, then you have to activate that in 1080p. So I'll show you what that looks like now. This is ultra steady mode, and as I move around, you should notice a noticeable difference between the stabilization with ultra steady and non-ultra steady. It's much more fluid, it's smoother, but the only downside to that is that it will film in this format in 1080p 60 frames per second as a maximum. So if you want to film more like this, then that's going to be limited to 1080p. Now this is a test on that front selfie camera, 32 megapixel front selfie when it comes to video. Again, 4K, this is limited to 30 frames per second. So if I wanted to film with the rear and the front in 4K 30 frames, this is what it's like. But again, it isn't very steady. If you want to turn steady on, this is ultra steady mode. Again, limited to 1080p, but this time to 30 frames per second. So as I move around, that should hopefully make it a bit more stable when I'm filming. So when it comes to software, the brand new Oppo Reno 11 comes with the new ColorOS 14 right out of the box. And this is with Android 14 as well. Now, as far as ColorOS 14, there are a couple of really important features here that Oppo have done with the software to make it more performance orientated, more design orientated throughout. So there's something called aquamorphic design, and this is essentially Oppo's design language for ColorOS 14. It's supposed to be calming, it's supposed to be intuitive with the time, with, you know, what's on your screen, but also at the same time, there are elements like this aqua dynamic, which basically are fluid throughout when you're experiencing and using them. So for example, I'm screen recording right now. You can see now on the top bar, it's much more clearly identifiable what's going on. And then when you want to interact with something, you can do that in a much more easier, fluid way. Another feature which is really cool is this side file dock here. So essentially the file dock can house different things that you might be using. For example, I saved this image here. I might want to save and store that for use later on. I can copy paste, I can use that with third-party apps. And the best thing is that you can use this if you have multiple devices as well. The file dock can be synced across those devices. Right, another cool feature that I really like is something called smart image matching. So we've seen this before in other operating systems, but you can separate images within a picture from the background. But on this, what is intelligent is that I can actually select 3 different items as opposed to just one item. And then obviously with that, I can then put that in the file dock. I can copy, use, share that with third-party apps as well. It makes it very, very useful. ColorOS 14 also has things to do with the performance as well, enhancements. So there's something called Trinity Engine, and it essentially focuses on the RAM, the CPU, and also the ROM vitalization. And the idea here is that you're going to get a smoother experience overall with those features working in the background in ColorOS 14 on your new Oppo device. Now, as far as performance is concerned, the models sold here in the Middle East, in this region, come with the MediaTek Dimensity 7050 chipset that's paired with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes for the storage. I think for a mid-range smartphone, that is pretty decent. Day to day, you know, you should have no issues in terms of a fluid experience, a general pleasant experience when you're using this. I even managed to play some gaming with this, which was quite reasonable. I think if you're going to be going for prolonged gaming or you need a heavy gaming focused device, then it might be worth looking at the Pro model. But for those that are just looking for occasional gaming every now and again, the Reno 11 should fit the bill for that. This model comes with the 5000 milliamp hour battery, 5000 milliamp hour battery with the 65 watt supercharge adapter in the box. And you also get the smart charging as well with ColorOS 14. So all of that combined means that for a battery life perspective, it's going to be a solid offering as well. I mean, I was able to use this for over a day quite comfortably. So generally speaking, I think this is, you know, it's a solid offering. If you take into account the price point for this, it's going to start off at about $1599 here in the region. All the pricing information, by the way, will be in the description down below, so you can check that out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, check out this next video over here, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm M. Kwan, peace and blessings.